You know what time it is. It's Monday night, and we got a great matchup in store for you. Bills against the Bengals, and the fans are out here. You know, Bills Mafia showed up, and the Bengals will enter Monday night this week riding a 7-game winning streak, and the Bills coming in riding a 6-game win streak. The second matchup in Monday Night Football history between teams riding a 6-game win streak or more. Welcome to Monday Tailgate presented by Snickers. I'm Skubie Mageza alongside Jason Fitz and Daniel Dopp. Happy New Year to everybody, and thank you for tuning in. We got a great show in store for you guys. We'll take you through this weekend's best moments with Monday memes, and then me and Fitz will jump on the touchscreen looking at some QBs who might be in a situation where it's new year, new team. And then, of course, we got Rookie Spotlight and Aaron Dolan coming in with the best bet. But first, a huge matchup in the AFC tonight. We got the Bills. We got the Bengals. Fitz, what are you looking forward to most in this matchup?
I think we need to look at the Bengals through a different lens. And look, at the beginning of this year, the question was their offensive line. Their offensive line has played so much better. In the beginning of the year, though, it was a little bit wonky, right? They spent a lot of money this offseason trying to get it right. It finally got right. They've been very good. I am curious what the absence of La'el Collins will mean long-term for them. This is a Bills team that has struggled defensively to tackle, and this is a Bengals team that is comfortable letting Joe Burrow get out there and get murdered every time he throws the football. So what that Bills defense does against that Bengals offensive line is still going to be the key to me for two teams that are still fighting for the top overall seed.
Yeah, for me, I need to be able to watch what is Josh Allen going to do for this Bills team, because Josh Allen has not been playing like the superstar Josh Allen he's supposed to be this year. He has still led this Bills team to a really nice record, but he is tied for second in the NFL in interceptions. If he throws one pick tonight, he'll be tied for first. That's not who Josh Allen is. I don't think that's who Josh Allen is. So is Josh Allen going to get it together and play like the superstar that we all know he is? I know that sounds harsh. It's just that we've seen so many good things from him so far.
But let me just say this. It took a little bit of a rise, right? And Brian Dable, the person that was behind that rise, is now over here watching Daniel Jones rise. Ken Dorsey came in, and we were like, Ken Dorsey, week one, Ken Dorsey shortened these routes up, got the ball out quick. It was like, Ken Dorsey's got it all figured out.
It looked good early on, but now it's changed up. But the Bills defense is going to have to step up. They will have Jordan Poyer, who has been dealing with a torn lateral meniscus, which is an injury you can play with, mind you. I myself had a torn lateral meniscus. This is the reason why I say you can play with it. I played the whole season with a torn lateral meniscus my junior year of college. Painful, but you can deal with it.
Follow-up question.
Intramural wiffle ball? Is that what you're talking about? Like, what would you do? Okay.
What does that impact the most in your movement?
Well, it impacts your range of motion the most, because when you have a torn lateral meniscus, what you're doing is managing the whole week. So you're trying to make sure that the swelling is down. You're trying to make sure you're taking painkillers. I was on a painkiller cycle, so I have to take some right when I woke up and then with lunch, and then you take your big dose right before the game. So I'm sure Jordan Poyer is kind of going through the same thing. It's all about management. And
wow. I get a hangnail and I missed 4 shows. So I'm like, sorry, guys, I can't talk about sports today. My nails aren't right.
I had no idea Stefania Bell was joining the show today. It's amazing.
Well, when it's an injury you've had, you can actually talk about it a little bit more. But now let's move on forward into the best part of the show, Monday Memes, recapping everything that has happened through the greatness of memes. And why don't we start with Brian Dable and his Giants, because you brought them up, Fitz. Giants fans, the curse is broken. For the first time since 2016, that infamous bowl picture, we remember it, the G-men are heading back to the playoffs. And a lot of that credit needs to go to Dable. The way he has breathed life into Daniel Jones and Saquon Barkley and the rest of this team has given this squad a whole new vibe. They joined the Eagles and the Cowboys with the NFC East having 3 teams making the playoffs. But to stay on the Giants, Fitz, how impressive was this job by first-year head coach?
I'll give my buddy Devin a little shout-out that works with me on radio. Devin is a huge Giants fan, and he texted me today in a group thread, and he said, look, a year ago right now, my team was running a quarterback sneak on 3rd and 7 to get better field position to punt the football. Now we're in the playoffs. Like this whole conversation of are the Giants good is one of the stupidest conversations we could have because I don't care if they're good. I watched the Raiders last year when they probably weren't a good football team go to the playoffs. So let me tell you something. When you're watching that game, you don't give a damn. Right now, if I'm the Giants, I'm looking at it and say, we are doing something whether anyone else believes it's good or not. We are doing something credible. We are going to the playoffs. Kudos to that organization. I think they got their coach. I think they got their quarterback for the next several years. They're going to be fine.
You do think so? Daniel Jones is the guy. You're good with him.
Mediocrity is better than awful.
You know what? I love that you said that, Dopp, because Daniel Jones this week had the most fantasy points on championship weekend by any quarterback, right? This is the most fantasy points that he has had in his entire career. 36 points for Daniel Jones. But he's played really well at this point in time. And I ask you, can the Giants make a run with Daniel Jones at quarterback?
I don't see why they can't. The problem is just going to be everything else outside of Daniel Jones, right? Daniel Jones, it's everything outside of Saquon Barkley. Daniel Jones is the first thing of it.
Yep.
But like those two guys are that offense, and so how much are Isaiah Hodgins and whoever else they're going to have, catching passes for him?
Yeah, I got you.
You know what
Richie
I mean?
James, who was out there trying to kill my fantasy championship yesterday.
And he had 7 for 70 some. Like he's been doing stuff, but you're talking about guys that are third stringers on other teams that are out there, and yes, they can go do something right now in the playoffs, but I think there would be an overachieving that would take place. Everything they have done up until now, they should be super proud of, but that's sort of the way that I see the Lions and other teams in that same area. Just because you make it to the playoffs or the Seahawks doesn't mean that you can't make noise, but there should just be an expectation of you've already overachieved to get to where you're at, man. Be proud of that.
Short-term, long-term. Long-term, I think the Daniel Jones is farther ahead in 1 year at Brian Daboll than I expected, and we just gave a lot of credit to Josh Allen, what he looked like under Daboll. I think long-term, Daboll could make you the starting quarterback of a team, and it would be delightful. Well,
call me, Brian.
I put
please,
on a little size.
Listen, I'm willing to make that QB money.
But I do think you're right, though.
A tight end, okay? TJ Hawkinson.
You're right. I do have that tight end look.
I do think you're right, though. Short-term, the weapons around, like Daniel Jones is not going to be the reason that the Giants win or lose the football game. He's throwing to Skubie and me. Yeah. So, Skubie might catch it. I will fall down and be like my hangnail.
All right, so let's go from one division that has 3 teams going to the playoff to another one that has been struggling all year, the NFC South. But we did, stop me if you heard this before, see Tom Brady end up getting another division title. The GOAT is reigning supreme. They are NFC South champions, and they have clinched a home playoff game. And if you had Mike Evans and Brady in your fantasy team, then you were balling. Brady threw for over 430 yards and 3 touchdowns. Mike Evans caught all those touchdowns and definitely won some people their championships. He finished with 10 catches, 207 yards with 3 touchdowns. Now, Fitz, this division turned out to be one of the weakest in the NFL, but the Bucs still get a home playoff game. So how much will that help them to make a potential run? Because looking at the last 2 weeks, this is the first time in Tom Brady's career that he has had to put together back-to-back double-digit fourth-quarter comeback wins. And it was against the Panthers, and then it was against the Cardinals. So it's not necessarily teams that can make a boom.
Look, I asked Rex Ryan this morning on ESPN Radio, how scared would you be to take on the Buccaneers? And I asked him that because I knew what his answer was going to be. He said, look, anytime you take on Tom Brady, of course, you know you're taking on Tom Brady. Separate conversation, Rex's words. But if you're telling me I can take on this Buccaneers team, I'll take that all day. They're old and they're slow. And there is a moment here where, yes, they did great things against a couple of bad football teams. But right now, the way the playoff machine goes, they'd be taking on the Cowboys. And as much as we love to on the Cowboys are a better football team today, head and shoulders above where the Tampa Bay is.
Agreed. I'm totally with you there. And I don't, listen, all of this talk about Mike Evans, yes, if you had him in fantasy, that is fantastic. Do you know how awful Mike Evans has been in fantasy up until this point?
Let us know.
If you were starting him, that is like the most unbelievable amount of faith that you have been able to have in a player.
It's a prayer.
Let's see, since week 9 fantasy points, 10 fantasy points, 5 fantasy points, 10 fantasy points, 8 fantasy points, 5 fantasy, it has been tough. And then he breaks out for 48.7. So it's one of those things where, yes, inevitably, sooner or later, Mike Evans was going to do the Mike Evans thing that him and Tom Brady did. It's just what are the chances you start him in the fantasy playoffs after he burned you for so many weeks?
Especially in the chip. But
hey, hopefully you started him. Hopefully you did, and it did you well.
Shout out to everybody that started him.
That's right.
Good for you. All right, now let's stay in the NFC, where we head to Lambeau Field. The Packers straight up put a beat down on the Minnesota Vikings, and I was like, sheesh, I didn't see that coming. But they made it happen. They needed this win to keep their playoff hopes alive, and Ja Island was in full effect. You see Jair Alexander there. He shut down Justin Jefferson. He was wearing the big hat. He was doing the gritty in his face, and he brought despair to all JJ fantasy owners after he held them to just one catch. This was a good old-fashioned beatdown. Aaron Rodgers was out there hitting the air guitar, feeling himself. So I'll start with you, Dopp, because you refused to hop on the Vikings train last week with all the comeback wins that's been happening with that team. So was this more about the Packers being a good team, or the Vikings just like finally showing their true colors?
A little bit of both. I think it is a little bit of two ships crossing in the night, where the Vikings have that, I want to say, a little bit of regression to what's supposed to happen when they play games like this. And at the same time, the Green Bay Packers are playing well and peaking at a time. Is this any different than any other freaking Aaron Rodgers story that we've heard at the end of the year, though? Normally, he gives himself a little bit more like hedgeway, so he doesn't have to have it where it's like a win and you're in kind of scenario.
Yeah.
But I think this Packers team is getting better. They're getting healthier, and Aaron Rodgers, listen, end of the year, it almost doesn't make a difference. As long as they're in the playoff picture, nobody wants to play in Lambeau.
Well, and I just said no, that I wouldn't be scared of Tampa Bay. I would be scared of Green Bay. And it's not because of Aaron Rodgers. Through this course of this win streak, he has 4 touchdowns passing, right? This Packers team has found their identity again. And their identity is they're playing incredible defense, right? Again, bad opponents, but they're playing incredible defense. The running game, like Aaron Jones is this team at this point.
Real talk.
So what they have done is they have started playing, and that's not to say that Aaron Rodgers isn't good. Don't at me with that. What I'm saying is that the Packers have found complementary football, which we hear all the time as a keyword, but they're really genuinely executing it. They're a tough team to stop because they can stop anybody. Their special teams have been lights out, Keyshawn Nixon, chef's kiss, and then their running game has been spectacular. So they're asking Aaron Rodgers to do less, and the offense is doing more as a result.
And Aaron Rodgers just sits up there in the presser. Earlier in the year, everyone was like, they're done, they're finished, and he just kept faith. We'll see. We'll see. Shout out to the playoff predictor, because you clearly didn't get it right. So speaking of the playoffs, let's take a look at the NFC playoff picture. The Packers control their own fate. If they beat the Lions, Dopp, they will get in over the Seahawks, even with the Seahawks win. But if the Lions can beat the Packers, they do need Seattle to lose to the LA Rams in order to get in, which would be electric for Lions Nation and my boy Dopp. So what do you see happening here?
It's going to be tough. I'm really frustrated that this was flexed to Sunday night. You know who never wants to be able to play in Lambeau Field at 9 p.m.? Anyone. Anyone ever that isn't the Green Bay Packers. Give me a Sunday 1 p.m. where the sun is shining. I don't want to go there and play under the lights in Lambeau, regardless of how good my team is. But I'm sick and tired. I'm sick and tired of everyone just talking about how Green Bay has a chance to make the playoffs. Green Bay has a chance to make the playoffs. This Lions team started 1-6. What Dan Campbell has done with these Detroit Lions, to me, is so infinitely better than what Aaron Rodgers and this Packers team has done underachieving all year long. These narratives are wrong, guys.
Dan Campbell is such a good head coach, and that office, the front office, has been doing a great job in getting the right players in there, which brings us to our rookie spotlight presented by Snickers, because the Lions got some rookies who are balling out. This week, we got to show some love to a pair of rookies, Aiden Hutchinson and James Houston, y'all. And Lions PR tweeted out this. They said that these two guys, the first set of rookies to each log 7 sacks in a season, and the third set of NFL rookie teammates to produce a game with 2.5 sacks. And with Houston's 2.5 sacks, it puts him at 7.5 on the season, right? That is the most by any player, because he played late, through 6 games since sacks became official in 1982. So, Shout out to him.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, as for Hutchinson, he's been balling all year. He's put up some big numbers as well. 7 sacks, 3 interceptions in this season. But there are a ton of other rookies who are balling. Right now, it's Hutchinson. And we look at a guy like Sauce Gardner. So, Dopp, I ask you, what are your thoughts on Hutchinson in the season? And is he your defensive rookie of the year?
Probably. When I look at this Lions team, listen, Aiden Hutchinson, while I love what he's done, and his stats have been great as a rookie, right? He does so much stuff that does not show up on the stat sheet because he's made of 110% effort. And as a Lions fan, I have watched edge rushers not give effort 100% of the time for what feels like forever. So when I have someone like Aiden Hutchinson, when you watch him take out 2 guys to be able to make a lane for someone to come underneath for, or to push someone over the top so that a quarterback has to step up in the pocket. And guess what? That's where James Houston comes in. Like, James Houston and Aiden Hutchinson have been unreal playing off of each other. I am thrilled with this. But Aiden Hutchinson, to me, listen, Sauce Gardner's great. Aiden Hutchinson is out there looking like a linebacker, a safety, a defensive lineman.
Maybe he should have went number 1.
Well, and Aiden Hutchinson, I think the Houston point's an important one. You not only mentioned the sack numbers, but Houston got 5 sacks in his first 50 snaps.
Yep.
Think about that. 5 sacks in his first 50 snaps. Now, when you break that down, that comes down to what Hutchinson's creating. So it's almost like you got to give an assist on everything that's happening. When you look at the interception that happened at the end of the game, it was Aiden Hutchinson standing by the sideline, baiting everybody. There's just an athleticism and an energy to that I look at that and I say, man, that screams Rookie of the Year. And for Detroit, who's going to be picking near the top of the draft because of that trade, they have the opportunity to pick up another epic defensive player. There are a couple of guys in this draft, and Will Anderson and Jalen Carter. You add to that defense for a team that has holes defensively. The Lions are about to take a meteoric leap into playoff caliber football for the next 5 years.
And I know you love how that sounds, Dopp, for real, because everybody keeps disrespecting your team. But like I said, it's between him and Sauce Gardner, and Sauce Gardner right now is the favorite. But let's take a quick look at the comparison between these two guys. I mean, look who has more interceptions. Aiden Hutchinson came into the NFL not having had 1 interception in college or high school, but now in the NFL, he's all of a sudden a pick machine, getting more than DBs. But man, this dude's been balling. I think he has a case for Defensive Rookie of the Year.
I think you're right.
All right, let's shift our attention away from the rookies onto the vets. And before I say anything else, y'all, Fitz and I celebrated the new year together at the CFP in Atlanta, and it was a great time. And people like to say, new year, new me. So now we're going to look at some quarterbacks because for them, Fitz, it could be new year, new team.
Oh, that's
and
clever.
Let's figure out where some of these guys could possibly leave their team or not. And you're going to rank them starting from 5 up to 1. So who we got at number 5?
Okay, well, number 5 gets a little tricky. Let me start with this guy right here. Lamar Jackson ain't going anywhere. I got to say that clearly. Lamar Jackson is not going anywhere. I think the Ravens are going to exclusive franchise tag him, which means they have to pay him the value of the average top 5 at his position in the league. Nobody can even talk to him. So Lamar Jackson going to be a Raven. So we'll just take Lamar off the list entirely. So now it gets a little bit tricky when you start going 1 to 5. I think I'm looking. Let me be a little controversial here. Let's go Aaron Rodgers at 5. Aaron Rodgers at 5. All right?
He'd say this before we started, but we got Aaron Rodgers at 5 with Jordan Love as a backup.
Yeah, well, I mean, this comes down to does Aaron Rodgers want to stay there? It's complicated to get rid of him, so that's why he goes in at 5. Because at number 4, I'm putting Geno. Geno's going to have a bigger market than people want Geno to have because of the concept of who Geno is. But when you watch the way he's played this year, the Seahawks are in a really interesting situation. They hold the draft pick from the Broncos that's near the top of the draft right now. So they could go out and get one of these quarterbacks that we've been talking about all year in college football. Or they could sit back and just say, we're going to pay Geno and use that equity elsewhere. I think they pay Geno, but if they don't, somebody else will. So that puts Geno up the 4.
Geno said, they write me off, I ain't right back. I'm just going to write my name on that check for a bigger bank. All right, who we got at number 3?
I'm just throwing this list everywhere I didn't tell you I was going to go. At number 3, I'm going to put Derek Carr at number 3 from my beloved Raiders. This is no big secret.
Just repping all. Okay.
The reason Carr's at number 3 is because I think he's going to be the most coveted of the ones we're talking about.
Definitely.
He's got a lot of years left in the league. His contract right now really workable. A lot of people talking about the fact that the Raiders have to pick up that option within the first 3 days after the Super Bowl. I believe they will, and then they'll work with him on his no-trade clause to try and trade him somewhere. But Derek Carr's rookie year almost left the sport entirely to go into ministry. I've talked to a few people around the Raiders that still believe there's a chance if he parts ways with the Raiders, which he's going to, that he'll turn around and say, hey, it's my time to be with God, and I'm just going to spend that time spreading the word. So that's why he goes to number 3. Number 2 on my list, Tom Brady. Right? You want
coming back to New England, baby. Let's go, Pats Nation. We're back. We're back.
I mean, my guy threw for 432 yards this weekend. My guy ran for a touchdown. I mean, Tom Brady, by the way, if you look at the numbers, is not the problem with the Buccaneers. The Buccaneers not a good team. Tom Brady's still playing at a high level.
Yeah.
He's going to go wherever he wants to go. And these rumors of him and Sean Payton wanting to work together, if you're Brady, it's a little like LeBron. You go out, you figure who you want to work with, and you go where you want to go.
At this point, we're still talking about this man playing. I thought you said 45. I guess he's going to 50.
Yeah.
All right.
But by the way, Brady's not going to the Raiders. Don't. The Raiders already said no to him once. You think Brady's the type to be like, oh, now we're good. No. All right, number 1 on the list. I think he will be with the Raiders next year. Jimmy G. Jimmy Garoppolo at the top of the list. You talk about quarterbacks that everybody wants. I'm putting Jimmy G at the top of that list, not because Jimmy G's great, but because there are some rookie quarterbacks we've been talking about to get drafted. Somebody's going to want Jimmy G to be in there. The one guy, you know what? I'm making a change right now. Just right now, off the fly. Just going all over the place. I don't have Daniel Jones in this list. Daniel Jones got to be somewhere on this list. Let's put Daniel Jones in at 3. Let's just put Daniel Jones in at 3. Why? Because I feel like it. I don't know, because I wanted to talk about Daniel Jones.
Do that.
Giants in a weird situation, right? If the Giants franchise Saquon, which most of us think they're going to have to, you cannot franchise 2 players. They're either going to have to sign Saquon and franchise Daniel Jones, or they're going to have to franchise Saquon. Daniel Jones on the open market is going to get between $35 and $40 million a year if he hits the market.
Facts.
Daniel Jones, and like, I know everybody's saying, well, no, we won't. You think the Commanders wouldn't kill to have Daniel Jones playing instead of Carson Wentz?
Yeah.
You think the Colts wouldn't rather have Daniel Jones than whoever they got at quarterback? Like, we don't have enough effective quarterbacks in the NFL. Daniel Jones going to get paid by somebody.
Ooh, you heard it here first. It's going to be a new year, new team for these 5 guys. And since Fitz went crazy with the list, it's now 6. But Fitz, real quick, what's your New Year's resolution, brother?
To spend more time with you.
I love that.
Look at that.
Mine's too. You're on my list. Erin Dolan, per her Instagram, her New Year's resolution is to be in the best shape of her life by May 31st and to make people more money. So she's here with your best bet.
What's up, Monday Tailgate? Let's try to make some money now that it is 2023. And from a betting analyst perspective, this is a really tough game to handicap. Right now, the Bills are favored on the road over the Bengals, and you have 2 great offenses, 2 great defenses, not to mention both these teams are on winning streaks. So what would you do in this position? Well, when I was breaking down the game, the one thing that stood out to me is the Bengals in the first half. So in their last 5 games, when playing at home, they're 4-1 against the spread in the first half. So I would take them Cincy first half +1. And always remember, you can shop this line around. Now, I'm not just blindly going off just these first half trends when they're playing at home. We saw this last game against the Patriots. They went up big in the first half, and the Patriots were able to come back in that second half. So I do think if the Bengals want to get it done at home tonight in a spot that they're really good at, I think they will jump out on the Buffalo Bills and cover the first half spread +1. Good luck tonight.
Let's go, Aaron. Let's start off 2023 with some dubs on betting. I'm trying to get that.
Me too.
Let's get back to the memes, though, because I know who got a dub yesterday. My Patriots. It feels good, don't it?
All right.
They counted us out, but we're back, baby. Yes, the Patriots snapped a 4-game losing streak to their AFC East rivals, Dolphins, and can earn a playoff berth with a win at Buffalo next week. Mac Jones was 20 of 33 for 203 yards. The Patriots defense has 7 touchdowns this season. That's the most in franchise history and the most by any team since 2017 when the Jaguars did it. The Dolphins entered with a chance to clinch a postseason berth with a victory and lost by the New York Jets at Seattle. Instead, Miami lost its 5th straight game and will need to win next week against the Jets, and they need the Bills to beat the Patriots to qualify for the postseason for the first time since 2016. And another team is fighting for their playoff hopes, guys. The Pittsburgh Steelers. Kenny Kenny Pickett for the second week in a row.
He's just glossed right over
Yeah.
beating Skylar Thompson.
Really?
Go ahead. Yeah, you get your award for beating
A dub is
Skylar
a dub, baby.
Thompson.
A dub is a dub. But Kenny Pickett for the second week in a row led a game-winning drive by throwing a 10-yard touchdown to Najee Harris with 56 seconds left, giving the Steelers a 16-3 win over the Ravens on Sunday night and keeping their postseason hopes alive. Pittsburgh can now make the playoffs by beating Cleveland next week if Miami and New England both lose. Now, after all that craziness, how do we see the AFC shaping out? Let's
Wait,
take a look.
run that Pittsburgh scenario by me again?
So Pittsburgh can now make the playoffs by beating Cleveland next week
Which
if
Cleveland's
Miami and New England lose.
Miami is playing against the Jets.
And New England.
New England is
against the
playing in
Bills.
Buffalo.
Yeah, so
That's it. Steelers making the playoffs. Son of a biscuit. How does Tomlin always do it?
Seriously.
But let's take a look at the AFC playoff picture because
This is wild.
it's shaping out to be a crazy one. And guys, I don't know how you see it, but you're saying Steelers, not New England, not Miami?
Well, here's what I'm saying, Skubie. I'm worried about the Dolphins. I'm worried about the Dolphins. And I also don't love the Patriots. Your defense is what carries you. Your defense
We're
and
like
your
the
running game.
Iowa Hawkeyes.
That's what it is. You're grinding out games. You're winning games that way. If Ramondre Stevenson and Damian Harris are both healthy and your offensive line is healthy and Mac Jones doesn't have to throw the ball 45 times, then with your defense, yeah, you could like grind out some playoff wins. But I don't know. Give me a little bit of fun. It's not. I mean,
New England's
it's
gonna
not fun.
New England's gonna win, right? Like, who does New England have this weekend?
They got the Bills.
Yeah. Okay. Oh no. So the Bills are going to win that football game. Yeah. The Bills are going to beat the Patriots. It's not.
Come on,
we really
man.
don't. The Bills are going to be playing.
I think the
still,
Steelers.
Yeah.
I think the Steelers. Let's have some fun with it. How about Mike Tomlin doesn't like ever have a losing record, and he continues it here after how bad they were.
Hey, sue me, I'm rooting for everybody that's black, so shout out to Mike Tomlin. Go ahead and do. But now, let's look at the one-seed scenarios, because this is where it gets really complicated. The AFC playoff picture for the one seed, right? Because we have three teams that could get the one seed. The Bills, to get the one seed, they need either to win the last two games, or they need to win tonight and the Chiefs lose, or they win versus New England and the Chiefs and Cincy loses. That's if the Bills want the one seed. Now, the Chiefs can get the one seed in the AFC if they win and Buffalo loses either or of their last two games. And another scenario is if Buffalo loses both of their last two games and Cincy loses to Baltimore. Stick with me now. The final one, Cincy can get the one seed if they win their last two games and KC loses.
Well, I mean, this is completely unbiased, but obviously Jarrett Stidham is going to beat the Chiefs on Saturday, right? I mean,
All right, so the Bills can't.
I mean, Jarrett Stidham just put up 500 yards of damn offense on the 49ers. Let's go! Sorry.
Jarrett Stidham, where was this when you were with the Pats? All right, Mr. I'm going to ball out of control because I got Josh
What are you
McDaniels
talking
and I
about? You're about to
understand
make
that.
the playoffs. Wouldn't you rather make the playoffs than have Jarrett Stidham be a Raiders fan? No offense. No offense. I mean, no.
God, I can't wait for the Packers in Lambeau. God, we're going to fight. It's going to be a fight.
Okay, so that's the AFC playoff picture, but the game tonight, we got the top seed still open as we just talked. But Fitz, you believe this could lead to an MVP moment. And you just put down some money on one of these quarterbacks right before we got on air.
Yeah, look, this comes down to Joe Burrow and the opportunity to get that, in the Heisman race. We always talk about the Heisman moment. Mm-hmm. We have fallen as a media and as a culture in love with the swagger of Joe Burrow.
Oh, yeah.
If Joe Burrow goes into this game and has that sort of a game against Buffalo, because we've seen it, like we normalize greatness. Every time we see greatness from Mahomes, it just sort of like now it's like water off a duck's back, right or wrong. Like the quarterback that keeps me up at night that I'm scared of is Patrick Mahomes. Let me be clear about that. But when you start talking about the opportunity in this game, we have built the Bills up so much this year. Mm-hmm. If Burrow goes into this game and does what I think he can do against this team, that's an MVP type moment. That will absolutely happen. I put a little cash on that on Joe Burrow.
He sure did.
Let's
You
see
weren't
what
lying
happens.
about it. He sure did. Now,
Let's see what
John,
happens.
What should fantasy managers know coming into this game? I know this is championship weekend, but I know a lot of people out there are counting on certain players to win them a
Okay,
chip
screw
tonight.
all of you. I need Josh Allen to get 16 points, and I win
Just
my league.
16.
16 points. That's it. My opponent's not playing anymore. I need 16 points from Josh
16
Allen.
points if you didn't hear
All
him.
right.
Okay,
How I feel.
16.
So I should feel good about 16 points from Josh Allen. That's a fairly safe floor for a quarterback.
We'll
like
bring everybody
him.
back in there
All right.
at this point. Okay.
All right. Now that you were going to rejoin the show with us, here's what I would say to everybody else. I think that you're starting literally everybody from both teams. What are you talking about? Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs. I'm starting both of those guys if I can help it. I probably was trying not to start Gabe Davis this week. He's been up and down this season.
Yeah.
And these running backs for the Bills, I realize it's tough between James Cook and Devin Singletary. But when you look at the Bengals, who are you not starting from that offense? I'm starting Joe Burrow. I'm starting Joe Mixon. I'm starting Jamar Chase. I'm starting T. Higgins. Like Hayden Hurst, if he's back and I had to start him at tight end, I'm not feeling all that bad about it. Like, you know what I mean? You're starting everybody here. So I just want to see some fireworks.
Seriously.
I'm here in week 17.
Build
I just
this
wanna
game
see
up.
fireworks.
Everyone's going to be watching 2023. Let's get like 100 points combined in this game,
I
all
just
right?
watched-
Just blow it up.
Did you guys know that in college football, people don't play defense and they just score like 100 points in every game? I watched two college football teams.
Wow.
Do
And it
that
was
this
just
weekend.
crazy.
Yeah,
It was-
exactly.
Wait. The second best defense in the entire NFL gave up 500 yards to a backup quarterback.
that's right.
Did I mention
That's
that?
right.
All right. So
There's no defense.
We're hoping for a big game tonight, though. We'll have some fireworks because tomorrow, for everybody that loves ESPN Radio, make sure y'all tune in for a special show that's airing on
let's
ESPN.
go!
Fitz and Harry debuting tomorrow on ESPN Radio from 12 to 3 p.m. These dudes are entertaining, funny, and a great group of guys. You make sure you tune
guys
in for that.
promoting the show.
12 to 3 p.m. Fitz and Harry launching. You guys have been practicing, getting ready for it. What should they expect with the new show?
Well, hopefully I'll get the name of it right. I've called it Fitz and Douglas today. I called him Harry Davis. I don't know. No, I like, all kidding aside, Harry is one of my best friends, and the fact that I get to spend every day on radio with one of my best friends doing this, like talking about sports, like it's amazing. We're both energized and punished. We're both excited. We're going to bring a different level of energy, I think, to everything we do and have a good time. And I will continue to be the voice of the fan as loudly as possible next to my very, very accomplished NFL wide receiver co-host. He doesn't know anything.
I love that. I love that. We'll all be tuning in for that. All right, let's make some game
Moving on.
picks for tonight, starting with Aaron. Who do you have, Aaron? 2017 Bengals.
Wow.
Fitz, who you got tonight?
Yeah, I got the Bengals in this one, and it's all about tackling. I can't say this, especially at the second level. Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, you have to bring them down when you have the first opportunity. The Bills defense hasn't tackled well enough in the last month. I am scared for them. I think there's a run on points. There's a ton of explosiveness on both sides here. This does feel like one of those. I have 37-30 there, and that feels conservative. This is going to be points and no defense.
I'm in on that. I don't think that's what it will be, but I'm in on that. I think that would be a lot of fun. I have Bengals 27-24, so just not quite as much offense. But like still, you're scoring more than 50 points there.
Yeah, the over, I think, is at 50. So you're still
I'll
going with
take
the
the
over,
over there.
like
Yeah.
right on the edge. I'm going to go with the Bills because you all picked the Bengals. But aside from that fact, I think
Wow.
Josh Allen and Stephon
Smart.
Diggs
That's smart.
are going to be
Yeah.
clicking
Fade
tonight.
everybody.
And the reason why is because I need at least 50 points with Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs in order to win my fantasy football championship. So I am riding with the Bills in this one. I'm the only one, I guess, because the staff went against me. So I hope to get that dub and feel good about it in 2023, starting it off right.
Good luck tonight, Scooby.
I don't care who wins this game as long as Josh Allen gets me 16 points, baby.
Let's
16.
go! Woo! Great way to start the year on Monday Tailgate. We appreciate y'all for watching. This has been Monday Tailgate presented by Snickers. Enjoy the game. It is on ESPN and the ESPN app, so stay tuned. Good stuff, guys.